we are very proud to announce UMP Trading is an official partner with a proven profit track record.
Yeah, if you want great returns on your investments, be sure to check out UMP Trading.
Hello, welcome back to everyone that's tuned into our channel, AC Talks. Here we are, Braden and I, bringing to you guys one more time the segment that we analyze the players whose stocks went up or down, based or not, on their performances over the weekend. Straight to the point, Braden, who's the first guy that caught your eye this weekend and gets the stock up?
Yeah, so the first player I'm picking is Ricardo Pepi. He hasn't been getting a lot of minutes this season, but he's been pretty effective in the minutes he has had. He scored a couple penalties. I think he got his first run of play goal this weekend, which was nice to see. I could be wrong about that, but I know he hasn't had many. It's mostly the penalties. And picking up an assist as well. He just continues to show, I know it's a weaker league, but in limited minutes, he continues to impress, and it's a clear sign that he's the future for PSV. I think our fans need to be a little bit patient with him, because the expectation, I think, from a lot of USMNT fans was that he was going to be starting and playing week in, week out for PSV. But when they have someone the quality of Luke de Jong up top already, with the experience that he has, it's unrealistic to expect that from Pepi in his first season at such a big step from a relegated team in the same league last year. But I think he's doing really good. He's showing great signs every time he plays. Obviously, it's good for his confidence to get a goal and an assist against a weaker team, but they all still count. And I think in the future, maybe even next season, because Luke de Jong is getting up there. I think he'll be 33, maybe even older next year. So I look to see Pepi sometime in the very near future be PSV's main starter, whether it's next year or within the next 2 years. But definitely by 2026, he'll be the main starter.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that he's making the most out of the minutes that he gets. Granted, it is honestly a lot weaker of a league than I had even remembered, especially since we watched him play for Groningen last year. But hey, it's nice you can only play against who's in front of you, and he's doing well with the minutes that he gets. And I think that PSV's vision was always to have him as a long-term plan, honestly, because as you said, de Jong, he's really adored by the fans there, has so much experience, so it's only natural. But yeah, that's a great pick. I'm picking a guy that I've criticized a lot of times on this channel. I've had some times where I think that he was doing good or not, but everybody knows my stance on Gianluca Busio, and I will say this is the best match I have ever seen him play ever against Ternana, ever. I don't think he's ever played that well. And a lot of people, if they watched the game, they would, I don't know who watched the full game, but he made a lot of mistakes, but I don't mind that if you're trying to be incisive and direct as a player. I think that's where Busio should try to thrive in his game, be something different, because if he's just going to play like a regista or like Tanner Tasman distributing the game, he doesn't have that quality. I don't think his passing is that refined. I don't think his vision is that good, but he does have a lot of drive, and he has this, and the speed with the ball is really good, and he has an eye for a goal. He has shown that in the past, and really should have had a really good goal from 40 yards out, but the keeper made a fantastic save. And then on the second half, really nice finish with his left foot on a terrible game by Venezia. No one deserved to win that game, but he scored it, and it was really nice that as soon as he scored, just like in his last goal, he turns around, looks for Tanner Tasman, and goes and hugs him, because he said after the game that their relationship off the field, they weren't that close prior, but now they are really good friends, and it was nice how Tasman made him get hungry again. And it's nice that Vanoli, the Venezia coach, is for the first time, he's been pretty outspoken about Busio's performances before, and he actually complimented him, so it's really nice to see he gets to stock up. I don't think that this does much for him in USMNT landscape of things, but considering that he's likely going to be involved in the Olympics, it's nice to see him scoring goals and being important. I want him to feel important in this part of the season that I think Venezia is really cementing themselves as a club to go up next year. So he gets to stock up, especially from a big critic of him, as I am. So yeah, now on that really bright note, we got to go to the stock down. Who's the first guy who did not impress you, Braden?
Yeah, it's really nice to see Busio and Tasman's relationship just continue to grow. I mean, obviously they've been together at Venezia for a couple of years, and even being the midfield partners for the Olympic team, it looks like. But speaking about that Olympic team that got called up last month, my first stock down is going to be Johan Gomez. He did score in the Olympic team camp. I think it was against Japan. It's kind of a tap-in, nothing special. But he has been horrible this year for Eintracht Braunschweig in the second Bundesliga. There's no understating it. Like, he came from the 4th tier. It's a big step up, I get it, but no goals and no assists, and he's been one of their primary starters the entire year, and he's just getting benched. And I think, honestly, getting called up to the Olympic team did him more harm than good, because they had a game or two over the time that he was gone, and someone else came in and took his spot and hasn't looked back. So he's now on the bench for them, forced to battle for minutes, where previously he was a guaranteed starter. And honestly, it's deserved, because no goals and no assists playing as a second striker is unacceptable, to be honest. Even if it's a big jump, even for a young player, you have to have better output. Even Haji Wright, who's had a horrible season, has still scored a couple goals for Coventry. It's just to provide another example. But yeah, Johan Gomez, his stock has to go down. I don't think he's realistically in the USMNT picture, but even for the Olympics, guys like Duncan Maguire are out.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on that note, I will go to another player who we all thought was going to be a guaranteed starter after his move in the summer. I don't think he envisioned this to happen. Matt Turner, love the guy, but unfortunately his stock goes down because a lot of people call him Vlad Comos, his second name, but in Portugal it was always just Odysseas. Odi came in, had a really secure performance, the way that he was punching balls out, commanding the box. You could tell he's a lot more vocal with his players as well than Matt. And this does not bring his stock up by any means. I think it brings Matt's stock a little bit further down, because he went from the bench at Arsenal to the bench at Forest, and I think that he had a lot of shaky performances. It was not out of nowhere. We saw last week not only the disaster class that was coming out of the goal and then getting that goal, but also the first one where he just parried the ball straight into McAllister's foot. I feel like he has not been well for the country. He has done well. I think he had really good games in that break even against Germany. But if his club situation is not going to be ideal, he's not going to be playing week in, week out. He's just another Horvath, in my opinion. And that position that we all thought was locked in, it's all of a sudden up for grabs for this next cycle. So yeah, unfortunately, I have to pick Matt. But on the brighter note, who's the other player that gets the stock up, Brayden?
Yeah, so my second stock up pick is going to be Jordan Pifak, or Sivacu, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, he's had a loan to Borussia Mönchengladbach with Joe Scally this season. And when Union Berlin brought in a couple of strikers, David Datro Fofana, one from Chelsea, he lost his spot, but it's turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because Union have been on the worst run of form in their club's history. Not because of Brendan, just by the way, I just have to say that. But yeah, 12 straight losses, and he's getting out of that environment, going to a place like Gladbach where they seem to be a pretty stable mid-table club, and he's performing week in, week out. I think he had 2 games this week, scored a brace in one of them, scored the opener in the other, and 3 goals in 2 games for Pifak, and it's not his first. He's had a lot of goal involvements, goals and assists so far this season in somewhat limited minutes. When he first arrived at Gladbach, he was a sub. He's moved on into the starting lineup now. And I think it's really good for his confidence and development, because we saw something kind of like this at the start of last season when he did first arrive at Union Berlin from Young Boys in Switzerland. He started the season out amazing, and I mean the whole club did. They were top of the Bundesliga at the start of the year, but he did fall off, and they did a little bit as well. So I think it's going to be interesting heading into the second half of the season here in a little bit to see if he can actually maintain his form this time, because last season he wasn't unable to do it. But I think with a full season in the league in his under his belt and a good start to this year, I think he will be able to do it.
It's just unfortunate that he got injured in the process of his last match, but yeah, it's really nice. I think that our striker depth has increased a lot, but he could always also carve a spot for himself there. You never know. And talking about players, I had mentioned my previous stock up, a player that I've criticized. I'm picking another one. I don't know what's going on. Johnny Cardozo, my fellow Brazilian American. I thought he had a very slow start of the season, had some questionable games, especially in the Grenal. But he has been doing really well, has been very consistent, and I don't mind if we're going to be the 6/8, which I think he's more of an 8. If you're just a consistent player and not flashy, I don't think that goals and assists, there were some games where he scored, and I don't think that he had particularly the best of games. And today his assist wasn't anything flashy. It was just a sideways pass to Vanderson, but he had a really good game. I thought he was really, really good with the ball. And I like how forward-thinking he was. And this is when I think that Johnny can actually, when I see games like this, I think that he can translate these performances in Europe if he does end up going. I don't think he's a top-tier player to play in the best leagues for the best clubs, but we see the links with Betis, and it's likely that there is some truth in there. His agents did offer him to Betis last time around, and it seems like they actually pursued his agents this time. And he had a really good game, really, really nice. Not only just a sideways thing. I think sometimes Johnny's a bit slow to make decisions because there is a bit more space since Inter are a big club in Brazil. And regardless of the position in 11th in the Brasileirão, the brand of football that they try to play, I think he has a lot of time on the ball. Sometimes he's a bit just safe. But he was really good today. Even the passes that he didn't make with the long balls, I don't mind that if you're trying to be incisive again. And did really well with his ground jewels as well. And he's always really good with headers too, be it defending or going forward. So really good job, Johnny. I'll be really happy for Brazilian American can actually be instrumental to our national team. So I'm happy to pick him. Now, who's your next pick for Stocks Down, Braden?
Yeah, just real quickly, I think the thing that stood out to me about Johnny's performance and his assist was the fight to win the ball back preceding the pass, which, like you said, it wasn't anything special as an assist, but the play as a whole, I think he did really well to win the ball back, very physical in one of the most physical leagues in the world. And yeah, the killer instinct, like you said, immediately going forward after winning it back. He didn't take his time. He didn't turn back, play back to his center backs. He was always forward thinking, and it eventually led to a goal. So I thought that was a really special play from Johnny, and it's not something I've really seen him do effectively in the past. So it's good that he's developing, and hopefully this Real Betis move is beneficial for him in the winter. But moving on to my second stock down, it's going to be Tim Weah, because his injury is just setting him back completely. I've already mentioned in the channel, maybe controversially, that I think his spot is up for grabs within the national team. It's not to say he's been bad. He's been pretty reliable, I think, in the past for us, but at the end of the day, he's playing out of position for club, and he's starting some games, but he's not starting others. And I just don't think he's getting enough playing time at the correct position to warrant a starting role in a team that realistically we want to be challenging for big things. We want to be challenging for the top 10 in the world. We want to be challenging for semifinals, maybe even finals at the Copa America, and maybe even World Cup in 2026. And I don't think he's that quality of player, no disrespect. I think he could be a good piece off the bench, but if he's starting, I don't know if we can get as far as we want to. And especially with this injury, it could give opportunities to some other players to come in, step up, and prove their worth. I know we have a lot of young wingers. Kevin Paredes, for example, has been absolutely sensational. Luca Coliacho as well, if he chooses us, could fill that spot. There's a couple others as well. But yeah, I think it's a little concerning for Weah, this injury. It has not come at a good time, potentially the worst time.
Yeah, that's completely fair. If he's out of this camp, again, it's another opportunity for someone to step up and try to fill his role. And you never know with the Coliacho situation. If he does fix us, I think that does put his position, Weah's position in jeopardy. Talking about players that are with their position in jeopardy, this guy has had some opportunities. I'm picking him, Haji Wright. I know he scored a brace. I'm not crazy for picking this, but I think that his stock ultimately, if you take into consideration the week as a whole, goes down, in my opinion. Watch the goals today. Yeah, you got to be at the right place at the right time. Nice job, Haji. The most Haji Wright goals. No shame on this. The guy scored a similar goal at the World Cup where he just so happened that even a missed hit goes in. That's props to him. Props to him. 2 good goals. But midweek, he did cost Coventry a lot. And I think that for the investment that he was for the club, he has been underwhelming. And even his match as a whole, I think he had his worst game of the season, even though he scored 2 goals. So, I mean, you can take that as you want. But I think that his performance was really bad. Hold-up play was bad. Touch was bad. The passing was bad. There was speed. Just not alert enough. Did score 2 goals, but ultimately I think that Haji has been really underwhelming this season. It's unfair to pick him for a stock down in a week that he scores twice. I mean, this is really harsh, but I'm picking it regardless. Now let's go to a brighter note, and the last player gets a stock up in your opinion, Braden.
Yeah, I actually just mentioned this player. It's going to be Kevin Paredes, because I think he's finally made his mark on Wolfsburg. He's had a couple cameos in the past, and he's always looked pretty bright, I think. Every time he gets minutes for Wolfsburg, I've never seen him put in a bad performance, no matter what position he's played, because he is very versatile. He's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's played even like as a left wing back. He's dropped into the 8 for some reason sometimes, which I think is a bit odd. But yeah, he's finally becoming a fullest time starter for Wolfsburg. He's now started 2 Bundesliga games in a row. He did come off the bench in their cup game, but I think that was just so he would be fully fit for their Bundesliga game this weekend, which he had an instant impact. He scored in the second half. I think his first Bundesliga goal, if I remember correctly. I know it's definitely his first of the season. He's had some other goal involvements. I don't remember, he drew a penalty, he got a couple assists. But it's nice to see him finally off the mark, especially when we have a couple of wingers who are a little bit poor this season, I think, when it comes to finishing chances, looking at UEA. But yeah, I think Paredes has been really good. He's been a revelation, and I didn't expect anything from him, to be honest. When he moved to Wolfsburg, I thought it was a bit of a big step up, but he's proved me wrong completely, and I think he should be in the mix for potentially a much bigger role with the national team, because I remember last camp, one of my biggest concerns was the limited playing time he got, especially against Ghana. I don't think he came on at all against Ghana in a game that we had already won. It just doesn't really make sense to me, and hopefully this camp against Trinidad and Tobago in these 2 matches, we can see more of him. Maybe he plays a half in one of the games, comes on at halftime, looks to make an impact. But yeah, I think he's been very, very impressive recently, and hopefully he can extend into the international break.
Yeah, I feel like Kevin's definitely a guy that's knocking on the door for more playing time with the national team. Even towards the end of last season, he was a super sub. He was in that role already, I think, for Wolfsburg. Really nice how he never shies away or seems to be feeling the pressure. So huge props to him. That's a great pick. And I'm picking Trusty, who is another guy who I think it's knocking on the door for more minutes with the national team, especially since we consider the team Ream's age. We have to take that into consideration. I don't know how long he's going to be active for this cycle for the World Cup in 26. And we see our center back pool is not as strong as we originally thought. He's now seeming to getting minutes, regular playing time with Sheffield. They got their first win, which is really nice because they were doing horrible before. But this win puts them right in the mix. One more win, they're out of the relegation zone. It's just, I know it's a really short-term way of looking at things, but you got to live the moment and take it game by game, especially if you're Sheffield. And it's nice that he's getting not only playing time, but getting good performances in and plaudits from the fans as well. So I think that's really nice. And if somehow they manage to stay up, this definitely puts the stock all the way up. And I think he's knocking on the door to be a guy that is potentially going to be a starter for us in that back line. So I really like Austin. A really nice game from him. Now let's choose our last player to be on the stocks down list, Braden.
Yeah, and it hurts me to say this, but my last player is going to be Taylor Booth. And he kind of burst onto the scene last season as a player who no one had really noticed in the past, but he lit it up with Utrecht, and he even got the call-up rewarded to the Nations League squad. I don't think he played at all in the team in those 2 games, but even the fact that he was recognized and included in the A team was nice to see, and it was fully deserved. But this season it's been a little bit different. He started it off decent, but he got injured very, very early on, and since coming back from injury, I know it's been not a lot of time, but he hasn't looked the same. Even in the Olympic camp, he got a couple minutes. In the first game against Mexico, he missed a penalty. It was just a really bad, very poorly taken penalty. I think he did win it, so props to him for that, but you have to convert. And with Utrecht as well, he's been getting subbed out very early, around 60, 70 minutes. He's always one of the first ones subbed. It's nice that they keep trusting in him, but eventually it's going to come to a point where he's going to be benched. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but Utrecht are a team who are fighting relegation this season, and performances like the ones he's been putting up are not going to help him get out of that. And I don't want it to turn into another Mihailovic situation. I don't think it will, because Taylor Booth is a lot better of a player than that, and I do think he is an 18 potential player in the future, either at the center mid or a winger. Honestly, I think he's more of a center mid. I don't understand the winger hype, probably just because we don't have a lot of depth there. But it's been a little concerning for me to see the performance he's been putting out, and hopefully it's just because of the nagging injury. Hopefully he can become fully fit in the near future and get back to the form he was last season, but for now his stock has to go down.
Yeah, it is painful to see because I'm a huge Booth fan as well, and I feel like he's more of a center midfielder as well. He's more a 8/10 than a winger, but yeah, I'm gonna pick a player, John Brooks. He got benched midweek, and I think I picked him for stock down a couple of weeks ago as well with a shocking performance, even though they won that game. But this time around, I think they won the game when I picked him. Or regardless, I just think that John Brooks, again, just really, really poor. Just a really, really poor season for him individually, even though Hoffenheim have kind of been sugarcoating his form. But yeah, I can't not go with him. Every time that I see him play these days, he's looking a little slow. And yeah, I think ultimately he's going to be, I hope that I'm wrong, but I feel that by mid-season after January, he's going to start getting benched regularly. I don't think that his performances individually warrant him a spot there. And even though this fragile center back depth that we seem to have right now, it could be up there to lead the line and be a Tim Ring 2.0, but I don't think he will be. And I think that if you're not getting called up at this moment, and as a center back for the U.S., when you've had the baggage that he had, I think it just shows the likelihood of you being involved for the next cycle. Ignoring the personal conflicts that he has with Greg apart, they're still really low as a player. So yeah, I'm picking John Brooks. But now it's a brighter note. We got to pick our players for the week who are going to be on our stock watch and who we think are going to perform well. We always do 2 picks. If you guys are new to the channel, we are going to pick one famous player, a mainstream pick, and another one that may be going under the radar. Who are you picking, Braden?
Yeah, so my player to watch, it's definitely a mainstream player. It's our most known and our best player. It's Christian Pulisic, because I think this week is going to be really crucial for him. They've got the Champions League match, obviously, midweek, and it's going to be really crucial for him against PSG. Without him against Udinese this weekend, they look stale. It just wasn't the same Milan that we've been seeing when he's in the team, and hopefully he can come back. I don't want them to rush him back in. I think he should come off the bench, maybe play 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more if they're struggling, but we can't have him risk injuring himself, because we saw with Tyler Adams that happens, and we don't want another situation like that where one of our best players is out for an extended period of time. And I think his fitness going into this week is a huge play, because obviously the roster for the Trinidad games is going to be coming out very soon, probably sometime this week. And if he's fit, he'll be in it. But if he's not, with him out and with Weah out, that would be a very, very big loss on our wings. We'd have to have someone like Kevin Paredes, Brendan Aronson, maybe even Gio Reyna out on the wing step up. And in a must-win game, obviously it's not a very strong opponent, Trinidad and Tobago, but these are must-win games to qualify for Copa America. And we want to have the best players possible available. So I think Pulisic's fitness is going to be one of the main things to watch this coming week. And then for my sleeper candidate, it's not really an under-the-radar player, but I think it's an under-the-radar reason, because, like I said, with this winger problems that we're having, this is the perfect opportunity for Luka Kolyosho to finally make his choice and pick us, because honestly, if Pulisic does end up being out, and even if not, with Weah out, this is the perfect chance for him, because he could immediately come into the team and start one of the games. Maybe not both, because obviously you have to build up chemistry with the team. We saw Balogun have a little bit of a shaky start against Mexico because of that. But he adapted really quickly, and I think Kolyosho could do the same, honestly, and come into the team and make an instant impact, especially against an opponent who's, we know, not the best of quality. I mean, we saw Jesus Ferreira have a hat-trick against them. So, yeah, I think Kolyosho, if he does make the choice, I think he'd be a huge part of this team, and I think it's going to be something to watch coming into this week.
Yeah, for my picks, those are really good picks. I feel like Luka could really make his choice. I think we could definitely do with that one. And I don't know if Luka even speaks Italian, but Luka, per favore, la scelta giusta è la nostra. Nessun italiano vuole vedere a te indossare questa maglia. Scusa, ma non sei italiano davvero. Please choose us, Luka. Everyone's just putting the flags down there in the comments, and you'll be a lot more loved on this side. But anyways, my picks for this week are Maloney. I think that Leonard Maloney, today I watched the game, he's really intriguing because I feel like his passing is very erratic at times. You can definitely see he was a center back, but the work rate is insane, and how incisive he is, not with the ball, but in trying to get involved with the game. It's really impressive, really. Guy's always there as an option, positions himself really well. I feel like he's definitely a player that knows his best capabilities and his limitations. So therefore, he's always available on the ball, always there. He's really smart too, tactically. And he ended up having a good game. And I thought the first half he was one of the worst players on the pitch, but he had a good game at the end of the day. They won. Good job for them. Now they're going to play against Bayern, and I think it's going to be a huge test. But I feel like this is a good chance for him to really cement himself with a standout performance. Yes, we know that it's Bayern, but they haven't been having the best of seasons as well. So I feel like if there was a time for Heidenheim to have a chance against Bayern, it would be now. And if they are going to have a chance, I feel like Maloney's going to have a good game. So I'm picking him on the hopes that he has a good game against a big team and gets a lot more mainstream than our fan base, because I feel like that's a position that we need depth, and he's up there for a shout. So I'm picking him, and my other player is also from the Bundesliga. Not that he's going to play in the Bundesliga, it's in the Europa Conference League. Paxton Aronson came on midweek. He played like 5 minutes, but he's always so good on the ball, passing really good. I like him. He is what we call a liso in Portuguese. I feel like he's really has a lot of flair as a player, smart, quick, always quick at making decisions. So again, a good opportunity for him in the European Conference League. I feel like he's definitely going to get some playing time against HJK. I don't even want to pronounce the name of the team. I'll just use the little acronym. But yeah, I'm picking Paxton, and I hope that he performs well, because he's definitely going to get the minutes. But yeah, anything else you want to add, Braden?
I don't think so. Just you flexing with your Italian a little bit right there.
Yeah, anything to get Kolyosho to this right side. I don't think he's going to watch this. I don't think anyone's going to watch it on his camp, but it would be really nice, because if you read the comments from Italians when he is called up there, not only his name, but they're not very welcoming. So just choose to the side where you're going to be loved, and long term, we can do it. If you choose the US, we can do something magical here, and he would likely be a part of it. But thank you very much, guys, for watching. Make sure that you leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for being a part of the channel, commenting. We're always enjoying looking at your comments when you guys comment. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time.